All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and our fifth BCBA practice exam, where we're going through the next 10 questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. As always, when you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Hard, study hard. On 121. You, a behavior analyst, are receiving complaints regarding another behavior analyst from some of her supervisees. They are claiming that the other behavior analyst is forcing them to pick up shifts or else she refuses to sign their supervision documents. What type of relationship is occurring between the supervisees and the supervisor? All right, the question is asking about the relationship between who? The supervisees and the supervisor. So you're kind of a third party here where you're working at this company and you've got other people coming to you complaining about another supervisor, essentially. They say the other behavior analyst is forcing them to pick up shifts or she won't sign their supervision documents. What's the issue with that? Well, this behavior analyst is the supervisor. They hold power over these supervisees. There's a lot writing on these supervision documents. It opens a door for a lot of exploitation, a lot of opportunities to take advantage of these supervisees. Whenever we're in a position of power, whether we're supervisors, bosses, or whatever it might be, we do not take advantage of our position. In this case, this behavior analyst is doing what? What type of relationship has become established? A multiple relationship. Well, when we talk about multiple relationships, we typically refer to the line between a professional and a personal relationship. There's no line here that's crossed between professional and personal. It's still a professional relationship. It's just more along the lines of B, an exploitative relationship. The supervisor is now exploiting her supervisees due to the power she has over them. You have to pick up these shifts or else I'm not going to give your supervision documents the signature it requires. He's exploiting them because of their position. An ethical relationship. Well, we know it's not ethical. What about an illegal relationship? Well, ethically, this is incorrect. Legally, there's nothing really indicating it's illegal. Now, in the eyes of the BACB, it's not right, but there's no law necessarily about what is occurring here. What's happening is the supervisor, is exploiting the supervisees. So with ethical questions, you want to pick a strong answer, but you want to be careful about going too far. 122, you've worked on a challenging case for almost 6 months, and you are just now starting to see significant progress thanks to a new behavior plan that you just designed. Coincidentally, you are assigned a new case featuring a client of the same age, gender, skill level, and with very similar behaviors. How should you formulate your plan for this client? Okay, we're asking about the plan for this client. And what client? The new client. That's this new case, new client. And it says it's the same age, gender, skill level, and very similar to the other client. And you might say, well, all these kids are so different. And that's true, right? We individualize everything. We treat everybody as their own person. But you do the job long enough, you start to see kids who seem awfully similar to one another. And when you get that scenario, the temptation is to start to use things that have worked in the past, these new clients. What do we need to be sure of? In this case, you've worked on a case for 6 months. You're seeing progress thanks to your behavior plan. And now you have this new client who appears exactly like the old client. Are you going to waste 6 more months and spend 6 more months developing a plan for this client? Or what are you going to do? How are you going to formulate your plan for the new client? A, if the behaviors are similar enough in topography and magnitude, use the other client's behavior plan until you develop a different one. Well, this is wrong for a few different reasons. We don't develop behavior plans based on topography and magnitude alone. We need the function first and foremost. Second, we don't plagiarize our own behavior plan, meaning we don't make one behavior plan and apply it to 5 different clients. A is wrong for multiple reasons. B, attempt to implement the other client's behavior plan and then make a data-driven decision if you should continue. Well, you should make a data-driven decision at all times. However, you should not attempt to implement the other client's behavior plan just because it worked for that client and just because they're similar. What do we need to do? We need to complete a functional behavior assessment for the new client. That's just what we have to do. You get a new client, you get a new case, you complete your own independent behavior assessment. Of course, we review records, review past services, review all these items, but we don't do anything, we don't implement anything until we've done our own behavior assessment. And then D, if the behavior plan continues to work for the other client, use it for the new client, but you must wait longer to determine its effectiveness. No, we don't plagiarize our own behavior plans. We certainly don't implement them without doing first a behavior assessment, new client. Now, you might do the assessment for the new client and use some of the same strategies. That's fine. You did the assessment. That's what counts. 123. A mom told her 2 kids last year that they better put sunscreen on or they will burn. Now, the kids always wear sunscreen typically, but forgot today. As a result, they both received harsh sunburns. Prior to the kids getting burned, their behavior was what? Now, the key is this word prior. We're looking at the situation prior to them getting burned. So before they got burned, what happened? The mom told them they better put sunscreen on or they will burn. And so they always wore sunscreen. Even prior to being burned, they were wearing sunscreen. Why? Because mom told them to. And when mom said, if you don't put sunscreen on, you will burn, what was that? That was a rule, right? It's this verbal statement that controls and establishes behavior. They never got burnt, right, until they forgot to put on sunscreen, yet they still wore sunscreen. Now, once they did get burned, if they put sunscreen on in the future, now their behavior is contingency shaped. Rule governed occurred when the mom said something, no contingency, no consequence had yet taken place, but the rule is there. If you don't put sunscreen on, you will burn. When they did get burned, now contingency's in place. So the prior to the kids getting burned is what we're looking at. And prior to the kids getting burned, their behavior was governed by a rule. Therefore, it was rule governed. It wasn't prompt dependent. The mom simply said, this is what will happen, and the kid's behavior changed. And it wasn't positively punished. We're not sure, right, what's going to happen to the kids now that they receive sunburns. There's a chance their behavior was punished. We're not sure. All we know is prior to them getting burnt, their behavior was established due to a rule by the mom. The behavior was rule governed. 124. What type of analysis or assessment does this graph represent? All right, if you've done my other practice exams, I've used this graph a few times. I just think it's a really good graph for this type of analysis or assessment. Now, in the first 2 times we used it, the question I would say was much harder. In this one, you're simply identifying the type of analysis. So if we look at the type of analysis on our graph, we have sessions, we have percentage of 10-second intervals with problem behavior, and then we have these different type of behaviors, right? Non-compliance, aggression, SIB. And then on our data paths, we have things like free play, contingent escape, and contingent attention. What are those variables related to? And notice, when we do graphing questions here, we don't spend 2 seconds on the graph and then jump to the answer choices. When you get a graph, your job is to look at that graph and analyze it. You should know everything there is to know about that graph before moving on. We've done our work up front. We see free play, we see contingent escape, we see contingent attention, and we're dealing with behavior. Most likely, this is what? A reinforcer assessment. Well, there's no indication of stimuli being presented and watching its effect on behavior and then creating some sort of reinforcer outcome based on that, right? We're using components of what we would consider a functional analysis, right? We have these conditions: free play, contingent escape, contingent attention. And if you look at something like aggression, it's kind of unclear. But if you look at SIB, well, in the contingent attention condition, behavior is happening at a higher rate. So we're not looking at a component analysis, right? Because a component analysis is looking at different interventions of a treatment package. We have these different conditions, which are part of a functional analysis. And then a parametric analysis looks at amounts, right? How much of something are we giving? The giveaway here is the conditions: free plays, contingent attentions, the contingent escapes. So the graph we're looking at, the type of analysis taking place, is a functional analysis. 125, New Leaf ABA has a prominent following on TikTok and Instagram. The owner of New Leaf made sure to have all the clients sign consent forms and did their due diligence before posting clients on the business page. What must the owner be sure to include with post of clients on the business page, if anything? Ethical question, social media question. New ethical code is very, very clear about social media use. In this case, we are asking about the owner, the post on the business page. Now we know the owner has consent forms and did their due diligence. What must they do, if anything else, to post on the business page? A, as long as the owner has consent, they are now allowed to post clients without other restrictions. What are they missing? They're still missing something. B, the owner must include a disclaimer when posting clients on personal and business accounts. So careful. They do need to include a disclaimer, but can we ever post clients on personal accounts? No. It's explicitly said we do not post clients on our personal accounts. If we're going to post on the business account, we must include a disclaimer when posting clients on the business account, even if we have consent. And we are not allowed to post clients on personal accounts. So C looks like the answer. D, you cannot post clients on any form of social media, regardless of who owns the page. If you have a business page, if you want to post clients on the business page, you've got to receive consent, you've got to do your due diligence, and you have to post with some sort of disclaimer. So the owner must include a disclaimer when posting clients on business accounts. They are not allowed to post clients on personal accounts. Gary will look through Selena's bag constantly throughout the day. Gary does this for multiple reasons, including to escape, for attention, and to obtain a tangible. What would be the least effective way to put this behavior on extinction? So, first off, what behavior are we talking about? Oh, Gary looking through Selena's bag throughout the day. We want to put that behavior on extinction. So how are we going to do that? We need to know the function. So Gary does this for 3 different reasons: escape, attention, and tangible. And that tells us everything we need to know about our extinction procedures. How do we put escape on extinction? Well, we stop the removal, right? What about attention on extinction? We don't provide that attention. What about tangible? Provide that tangible. So these are the things we're looking for, determining how to put this behavior on extinction. Now, the question is asking about the least effective way to go about doing this. So A, remove all items from the bag before Gary searches through the bag. If we did this, Gary could search through the bag, but he would not attain a tangible. That would be one way to put this behavior on extinction. B, do not acknowledge Gary when he is searching through the bag. If we did this, Gary would not get attention. So that'd be another way to put this behavior on extinction. C, prevent Gary from searching through the bag. C would be response blocking. If we block the response from occurring, can you put that behavior on extinction? You cannot. Response blocking is not extinction. D, follow through with whatever was established prior to Gary searching through the bag. If Gary is searching through the bag to escape, then whatever happened prior to Gary starting to try to escape, we've got to follow through with. So the least effective way to put this behavior on extinction is going to be response blocking, because response blocking is not a method of extinction. So preventing Gary from searching through the bag and engaging in the response is not effective extinction. 127, a client has been waiting 3 months to begin services at Ramon's clinic. The day before Ramon is scheduled to start the client, 2 behavior technicians quit. Ramon now has a shortage of technicians, and she is unsure how she is going to staff the new client. What should Ramon do? This falls under the umbrella of determining need for services and determining capacity for services. What's the issue with this situation? Well, Ramon is supposed to start the client, but he doesn't have any behavior technicians that quit. He has a shortage, and she's unsure how she's going to staff the new client. What should she do? What is Ramon's responsibility in this scenario? A, explain to the client the situation and delay starting until there is a concrete plan in place. This is going to be the best option. It doesn't seem like Ramon is going to be able to provide good, necessary service to the client. And the first priority of anything is do no harm, right? If we can't provide good, high quality service, we shouldn't provide that service at all. What about B? Begin the client and then figure it out afterwards. The worst thing to do. Now you're in a position where you're 2 weeks in, and what if you can't do it anymore? Now you've got to fire the client. Way worse off doing it this way. C, Ramon should personally take on the client and provide all direct services to the client. Ramon is under no obligation to do this, right? You are under no obligation to go about this way. Ramon can choose to do it, right? However, what about Ramon's other clients? What about Ramon's personal life? Other things will suffer potentially because of Ramon taking on this big project or this big extra work. So ideally, what Ramon should do is explain to the client the situation and delay starting until there's a concrete plan in place. Ideally, you've got more technicians, you've got a full staff. 128, every time a dog appears on your television, your own dog starts to bark loudly while jumping up and down. At first, this frightened your toddler, but now your toddler doesn't even seem to notice. What likely occurred? Okay, what likely occurred here? What is happening? Well, dog, right? Dog barks loudly while jumping up and down. Toddler gets frightened. Okay, frightened, so heart rate increases. Maybe they jump, maybe they flinch, maybe they cry. All these are reflexes. So we have a stimulus, dog going crazy, reflex, frightened, right? Heart rate increases, crying, screaming, et cetera, right? But now the toddler doesn't even seem to notice. So as the dog barked more and more, and the toddler heard it more and more, was exposed more to it, the effect decreased. What likely occurred? A, habilitation, or B, habituation. These are often confused. Habilitation refers to increasing somebody's access to reinforcement and decreasing somebody's access exposure to punishment through the improvement of their repertoire, right, to better assimilate them to their environment. That's habilitation. Okay. Think rehabilitation, think habilitation clinics, think habilitation services. Habituation is what we're talking here. Typically respondent behavior, right? If, let's say you suddenly start sneezing every time you open the fridge because last time you opened the fridge, you got paired with pepper shaker. If you keep opening that fridge in the absence of the pepper shaker, okay, or even if you keep opening that fridge, right, the intensity of the sneeze might decrease. Habituation is just exposure to a stimulus decreases the magnitude of the response. So at first, the toddler was very frightened. Now the toddler doesn't even seem to notice because they were more and more exposed. Since we're talking respondent behavior, reinforcement does not come into play. 129, Barry is an adamant supporter of using a DRO procedure for screaming behaviors that occur at high rates. Hank, however, believes that a DRD procedure is much more effective at controlling screaming and that it prevents reinforcing behaviors on accident. What type of analysis would help settle this debate? What are they debating? Barry says, I like DROs. Hank says, I like DRDs. And I think they're better, they're more effective. They say, well, let's settle this debate. What are they trying to do? Well, they're comparing two interventions. Are these interventions part of a treatment package? They're not. They're two separate things entirely. So when we say we have two separate things entirely, not part of a treatment package, that is an A, comparative analysis. A component analysis is when you have a treatment package and you start to examine each component of that treatment package on its own to see what's most effective. Parametric analysis is you have an intervention and you're trying to determine how much or how little of that intervention. Non-parametric analysis means the independent variable is present or not. In this case, Hank and Barry, they're comparing these two interventions. They want to do a comparative analysis to settle the debate on what is more effective. And then 130, which of the following is true about your responsibility in research as a behavior analyst? These questions are difficult because most behavior analysts practice, right? We deliver services, so you don't do a lot of formal research. However, you've got to know it. So what is true about your responsibility in research as an analyst? A, all formal research on humans must be approved by a research committee, IRB. That is true. If you're doing formal research on humans, must get that approved by a formal research committee. B, client welfare must be prioritized, even if it jeopardizes the research. Again, that is true. Client welfare comes first, even if it means ruining your research. C, confidentiality must be maintained for participants. Absolutely. That is at a premium. We're always maintaining confidentiality. So which of the following is true about responsibility in research? Well, D, all the above. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com. Let us know when you pass so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.